an organisation that provides practical, emotional and financial support to people living with HIV. Thanks so much, Emily.
Thanks very much. As you said, my name is Emily and I work for the Bobby Goldsmith Foundation. We are Australia's oldest HIV care and support charity, and our purpose is to empower people living with HIV to live well. I am presenting on the reality of treatment adherence for New South Wales' most marginalised people living with HIV. I will present the factors affecting adherence and the impact of the Bobby Goldsmith Foundation's financial assistance on adherence rates. Recent studies on adherence indicated that viral load increases drastically when adherence to antiretroviral medication falls below 95%. These studies indicated social and demographic factors that were associated with poor adherence. We recently conducted a survey of 300 of our most complex care clients. These clients were chosen due to their risk of non-adherence because of these social and demographic factors. They were asked demographic and adherence-related questions, and while some of the results were expected, there were also some very surprising results. Studies showed that 8 out of 10 people have an undetectable viral load at 95% adherence. This reduces dramatically to 5 out of 10 people at 80% adherence, and less than 1 person in every 10 at 70% adherence. Our survey found that overall, just under half of respondents had adherence rates of 90% or lower. This has huge implications for the success of the Treatment as Prevention campaign. So what did our study find? There are a number of social and demographic factors which influenced the likelihood of non-adherence. It's worth noting at this point that everything is self-reported. So, of the total responders, have a look at the light blue section here. 18% were born between 1970 and 1979. When we narrow it down to those with poor adherence, that increases to a whopping 32%. Another indicator was ethnicity. This one's quite interesting. Overall, the respondents who were Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander, so that was 5%, this dark blue one here. When you look at those with poor adherence rates, that grows to 11% were Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander. Also, not particularly surprisingly, 47% of respondents said they had a diagnosed mental illness. When you look at just those with very poor adherence rates, that increases to 56%. Another interesting statistic was the number of people who reported social isolation. So this was gathered just by asking them whether they felt socially isolated, and if yes, yes all the time or some of the time. So overall, 65% of respondents reported some or frequent social isolation. The interesting one, when you look at poor adherence, is the sometimes section. So that's the bit that grows in this one. So that's the total. And then the poor adherence, those with who are sometimes socially isolated have poor adherence. Another one that might seem a bit self-explanatory was housing statistics. If we look at the purple stat here, 3% of the total people who responded were homeless and sleeping rough. When you look at those with poor adherence, that grows to 10%. I think that's fairly self-explanatory, as it's quite hard to maintain a medication regime whilst sleeping on the streets. Another interesting one was the illicit drug use. So almost 40% of respondents reported regular or semi-regular illicit drug use. And have a look at this, almost a quarter here who use illicit drugs at least once a week. Now, the respondents mostly reported that they smoked marijuana. 60% of those who said they used illicit drugs on a regular basis used marijuana. When you have a look at those with just poor adherence, this is the section that uses at least once a week, and that grows hugely over that. Look, growing there. So that's quite a key indicator of poor adherence. We also asked them, if BGS stopped paying for your medication, would you continue to take your medication? Now, 60% of respondents said they would continue to take medication, but a key figure here is the 24% who would only sometimes take their medication, leading to an increase in resistance to medications. Now, BGF pays for the medication of 70% of our complex clients. When we narrow it down to those with poor adherence, though, only 27% would continue to take their medication if BGF stopped paying for it. 35% would only sometimes take the medication, and 38% would stop taking the medication entirely. Respondents were also asked about the barriers to adherence. The most common reasons for missing the medication were that they forgot, they were too busy, they felt too sick or had bad side effects, they were intoxicated, they were unable to follow the specific instructions, such as taking their medication with food, and they wanted a break. BGF will soon be running a trial of tailored text message reminders for our clients to try to improve adherence rates. This trial is sponsored by Gilead and will observe the adherence rates of between 50 and 60 clients before and after tailored text message interventions. It is important for organisations such as BGF to continue to put programs such as this one in place to address the barriers to adherence and work better with clients who are at risk of non-adherence. These programs will be vital and will be instrumental in the success of the treatment and prevention strategy. There are handouts available for everyone at the back as well that outline further details of this. Thank you very much.